We are A-okay. Glad to
So,
have you.
so we should get started here with the PowerPoint. Hi everybody, Tony Vogel, founder, originator, I guess, and co-owner of Dermodality. And everybody met Kelsey. She's brilliant. And I think I heard Judy. Judy, I love you.
I love you too.
So, anyways, so we're gonna speak to you about everything Dermodality with regards to what we've created in starting from formulation to actually application with the products to put the skin in the healthiest state and truly understand what that means. When a lot of people call skin health, put skin in, they think they're putting skin in a healthy state, but there's a lot more to it than you think, and that's what this meeting's all about. Correct?
Correct.
So Kelsey, I am gonna let you get started.
All right. So what is the point of preconditioning, right? Why preconditioning? The preconditioning process, it begins by building the skin's tolerance while stimulating growth factors. To properly prepare the skin for high concentrations of retinol, a professional should combine concentrations of Dermodality vitamin C intense in multiple forms for interactive blend of pure concentrations of retinol. In short, a noticeable corrective change accrues in pigmentation, fine lines, and the natural contour of the face. The skin's response to Dermodality's medical strength retinol quickly becomes less noticeable and completely tolerable. While the client is enjoying their Dermodality home care products, the spa professional is simultaneously providing in-service hybrid peel treatments, beginning with our preconditioning level 1 hybrid peels before moving to the next level of Dermodality level 2 peels. With each passing week, the skin becomes more conditioned for any form of treatment, while post-procedural recovery period quickens with each treatment. We are now allowing for corrective treatments for all Fitzpatrick skin types while basing treatment completely on the individual needs as well as one skin's tolerance. So actually what we were just talking about right before Tony got on with all skin types being able to get down to the more intense levels. That's awesome. That was a great little foray into that.
And you actually have to adjust for that too. Each individual is different. And I think if there's anything that we can do to help this industry is to create products and continue to create products that individualize the treatment so we can bring everybody to the same place. Bringing the client to a point where the skin can tolerate the treatment is critical. And you know, and you got to be able to read the skin. As we go through the product, you'll understand what we did to allow the skin to get preconditioned, and two, to be able to understand the tolerance of the skin itself. And knowing that tolerance is really, really critical. So this is obviously our Fitzpatrick. You know, this is going to be recorded. Everybody can come back to this. But what we do is we break things down into different levels of preconditioning and the importance of these levels going forward. And then we bring it into the Fitzpatrick scale from 1 to 6. And then on the other side, we talk about the length of time that it's going to take for you on on a more normal basis. And then, and that's, for example, you'll look at Fitzpatrick 2 where it says, you know, preconditioning for 2 to 4 weeks. So that may mean, you know, it could be more than that if the skin is a little bit more sensitized. And that's where using the level 1 peels, as you see up on top, the Mandelic, starting with Mandelic and moving forward, and we'll talk about layering in just a little bit, how important that is, but the Mandelic, the C Vitality, Intensive Peel, Brightening Peel, and each one of those would be layered with our pumpkin. We don't use the pumpkin by itself. We'll explain that as we move forward. But what we're doing is, at the same time we're doing the chemical peels, if you're not using Dermodality skincare, now I'm talking about mainly the moisturizers in our treatments, you're not getting the level of preconditioning that is going to be consistent to get the type of results that ultimately you're going to get. I would say anywhere from 75% of the results are going to come from the proper preconditioning at home. Wouldn't you agree with that, Kelsey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can get, yeah, what I do is that when I have people come in, sometimes I'll have people want a same day treatment along with their consultation. And we'll always, what I do, no matter what their Fitzpatrick is, we start, you know, with either the Mandelic or the intensive brightening with the pumpkin and on top, and then we send them home with some preconditioning products, and then we schedule them for their next appointment. And they're able to actually get more intense treatments sooner rather than later when they are using the appropriate preconditioning products consistently in between appointments. and when they've already had a level 1 preconditioning peel, possibly a couple more. So
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
So when you're working with different modalities, especially the more aggressive modalities that you're doing in the medical spa at your amazing medical spa, what role does preconditioning and the state of preconditioned skin play in these different modalities?
Actually, that's a fantastic question. I'm actually really glad you asked that. It's DermaDality. The DermaDality's home care and chemical peels, actually I use for a variety of things. I brought it on first of all for to be a support to our more intensive treatments like skin resurfacing with microneedling with RF, with our photofacials, or with our Morpheus 8. I started it for that, but because it's I look at it like when you get something more intense done, when somebody comes in and needs a more invasive procedure with skin tightening and sagging and resurfacing, that's usually like a one-time treatment for us, and that's kind of like the alternative to a facelift. Then what I tell them is, you want to continuously maintain healthy skin by doing regular maintenance, chemical peels, and our home care, so that you are also taking care of the surface of the skin and maintaining the results that you get from the more intensive treatments, or even with our injectables. If you get fillers and Botox, that doesn't really take care of large pores and active acne or anything like that. So really, DermaDality, I started it to have it as like a support per se for what we do, but it's turned into actually one of our main lines of correction as well. And now I use it in conjunction with other packages. When somebody buys a package, say of Morpheus 8 or Skin Tight, which is a more invasive procedure of skin resurfacing or tightening with some incision, I actually have them do several chemical peels that will after their incisions are fully recovered, I have them do several chemical peels so that they can actually see their skin overall brightening, tightening, and working in tandem with their other procedure. And then they actually get hooked and want to continuously every month get a treatment to maintain their results and enhance what they already paid for with the other ones, as well as take home some home products. So their skin really is not just lifted and tightened with our procedures here, but they're also getting the brightening and the active, daily and monthly resurfacing that they need through the chemical peels and the home care, if that makes sense.
And I know that your treatments are not cheap, at your spa, nor should they be for the value that you're offering. But isn't the value determined by that preconditioned state of skin that's allowing for the length of time from the treatment to the next treatment, so they feel they're getting that value? How does that play out for you?
So actually, when we are doing, when we're basically preconditioning their skin, especially with our resurfacing, we can actually go higher in the settings because their skin can tolerate more when they're preconditioning with our home care. And our chemical peels here. So I've actually, and it depends on, people's budgets. The nice thing is here is now, like if somebody doesn't have it in their budget to buy one of our more expensive services, then DermaDality is fantastic because it's corrective. It does a beautiful job in and of itself. But what I do is when I have people that, maybe have a little bit more sensitive skin, but they also want to get, our laser resurfacing, then I will actually start them on some of this home care products so that we can kind of toughen up their skin, so to speak, so that they can get higher settings and even, more quicker results in a shorter amount of time.
I worked with a doctor years ago in the 90s, and he became the top the top plastic surgeon in San Diego. And one of the reasons he did so, he really taught me this process before he ever began touching that skin. He always felt the skin that was preconditioned properly, the result of his surgery, and the look of the skin post-surgery changed quite a bit. So so we're encompassing really anything that you're going to be doing, whether it be just doing the superficial peels. If you're working, and we're going to talk about the retail and the percentages and the strength and value and understanding these percentages, how important of a role they play. But every service, you should change that skin. you should see a change of the skin in every treatment that you do. And I'm talking about the, the preconditioning level 1 treatments, the Mandelic peel, the C Vitality Intensive Brightening Peel. The skin changes, and it changes for a lot of different reasons. But the biggest reason I think it's going to change is what's being used at home. And we'll discuss that further in just a little bit. So,
That's perfect.
So science. Ooh. This is interesting. So let's talk about the cascade or the conversion from retinol into retinoic acid. So Kelsey.
Let me take over that one.
Yeah, I mean, to tell you a real quick story. I share with a lot of people, if you know me, I've been putting vitamin A and C on one hand for 12 years now, our vitamin A and C. and the other hand that I haven't touched looks like it's about 60 years old. And the hand that I've been putting it on, and I don't know if everybody has seen it, I talked to a lot of people and a lot of people have seen it, where the skin looks like it's 22. And this has everything to do with the use of vitamin A, use of sunscreen, and the use of vitamin C in various ways.
I can attest to that. I'm glad you brought that up, Tony, because that photo, I've seen this in person, people, and we showed our doctor as well, who I work with, that Tony's hands, and he put them right next to each other, and he was blown away. It is an amazing difference when you see his hands together and the difference of like what looks like decades between the two. So I think that's also an awesome test you've done with yourself, Tony, for the past however long, because it really does show just how powerful these ingredients are. So going into the retinol cascade, this is actually one of the most exciting parts of Dermodality for me in aspects. So the retinol cascade is a process. So think of the cascade process. Where the enzymes can convert the retinol into retinoic acid. And so that's what becomes bioavailable to your cells to then do what needs to be done there with the vitamin A or the retinol. So the majority of over-the-counter skincare products have very low levels of retinol. They come from an 80% dilution base. So basically, can I point out, Tony, real quickly, what we do is we actually use the highest concentration of the base available, which is 50%. There's 20, 40, and 50%. We use 50% and then double it to make it 100% pure base. That's what makes Dermodality so effective, because it has such a high percentage of dilution base in the first place. So most retail and over-the-counter skincare products have very low levels of that. So products that have a low concentration of retinol produce less retinol cascading value, which will leave little to no measurable transient levels of retinoic acid. So even though they say, oh, there's a lot, we use retinol in there, by the time the cascade has, come into that final product, there's very little retinoic acid that's bioavailable to the cells by the end of that product. So a high concentration of retinol, which increases the conversion, it must derive from a pure base of retinol to understand the conversion rate to retinoic acid. Dermodality doubles the purest base of retinol, I just said above, providing a pure and measurable conversion level. So we actually offer 3 pure retinol bases. They are the Revitalizing Booster Serum, which is the end product is 0.25% pure retinol, Vitamin A Intense, which is 0.8% pure retinol, and the Retinol Mixer, which is 1.1 pure retinol. Keep in mind, if you if any of you have ever had a prescription strength of, vitamin A or tretinoin or whatever the prescription is for there, you notice it usually starts at like 0.025 or 0.5. So you can see each of these is even higher than prescription strength right then and there, just due to that pure base.
Yeah, and not only that, when you really think about what we're doing, the difference, and this is important for everybody when they're communicating it, and know these numbers and know that you have a pure base that we're using, is your client, when they buy a product, if they think they can get something cheaper at Sephora, Ulta, or Amazon, or wherever they're going to get their product, that they think they can get less expensive, the same, if they think it's the same thing, they're going to find cheaper ways to buy it. But once you explain that, actually we're 10 times that strength of what would normally be a 20% base because of the fact that we're doubling it. So we're at 10 times the strength of something that's generally sold at Sephora, Ulta, the department store, in these different places.
And what's interesting with that, Tony, is those prices at Sephora and Ulta are not much different than Dermodality. So
Yeah, no, there isn't. And in fact, ours are probably less
some of
expensive
ours are a lot
in many
cheaper.
ways. You know, and when you think about it, you know, one of the things that we're going to talk about in just a little bit is how our products can interact so you can control the strength, because not everybody's going to be able to tolerate even the 0.8%, how we can get started by interacting our product. We have symbiosis between all of our serums. So that means that they can be interacted and used with each other, and we can adjust the strength. Again, it's individualized in the skincare. You have to individualize your services. You have to individualize your skincare. So let's go forward.
Absolutely. So now, all right. So your free radicals. So basically, our free radicals, as we know, are caused by, it's basically our environmental damage, but it also can be, diet and things like that. But basically, free radicals are roaming electrically unbalanced molecules looking to bind with healthy cells, causing cellular and DNA damage. So I love this little, demonstration here, how antioxidants stop free radicals. You can see the beautiful labels there, the free radicals on the left, antioxidants on the right. And the antioxidants are going to, come over and with the unpaired electron that is, doing the cellular damage there, it's going to come in there and it wants to neutralize the free radicals out there so they can no longer do the cellular and DNA damage that they're looking to do. So antioxidants neutralize free radicals. Free radicals are all around in the environment, pollution, smoking, things that are going to weaken our immune systems too, so that we're more prone then to our cells breaking down. So free radicals equals bad, antioxidants equals fixers.
And you know me, I'm the science geek. So
Yep.
I'll tell you, take it a little step further. So a free radical has 1 electron, a healthy cell has 2, and an antioxidant has 3. So when a free radical comes into contact with a antioxidant, what it's going to do is it's going to pair it, essentially. However, if a free radical comes in contact with a healthy cell, it's just creating that imbalance. It's just taking it from one to the other. And that's basically what this is, what this is saying. All right, we can move on. And vitamin C, by the way, one thing I do want to mention, there's 3 key things, and a fourth that is also very important that we're going to speak to today. One is we need to create products with high concentrations of vitamin C. Vitamin C plays a huge role in this, and we're going to talk about that as we go through this webinar. 2, we have to make sure that we have the right, that means right antioxidants and the concentration of antioxidants. We also have to create a line that is really allows the skin to be in an incredibly healthy state in the level of moisture, not just having a lot of moisture or a lot of hydration, but a combination allows you to seal in transepidermal water, because the greatest amount of sealant and the holding of moisture allows the skin to heal so much quicker, so much better, and it creates the balance the skin needs, whether it be skin that's acneic all the way up through the different skin types. It's really important. And then thirdly, and I think really, really important, is I always say the inflammation's the devil, and we got to make sure when you understand our line, it's very anti-inflammatory in so many different ways, and even more so when it comes to the moisturizers, and that we're going to cover again. So in that way, I wanted to just kind of talk about that real quick, and then we can get started with this.
All right. So correct. Basically, what I love about DermaDality is that it is corrective. So and as Tony was saying, like these products have not only super active ingredients like the vitamins A's and the C's, but also the anti-inflammatory ingredients. They basically work so that you can tolerate those high active ingredients without your skin scaling and falling off. I have never been able to use a vitamin A before DermaDality's Vitamin A Intense. I can use that every single night. I mix it actually with the Revitalizing Booster Serum. I can use that every night and my skin does not dry out. I don't get scaly, but I noticed such a huge corrective difference without having to go through any of those negative side effects that you typically will get with just plain vitamin A. Just wanted to point that out there. So this is corrective skincare that's designed to perform as medical grade treatments. As I said, they are, these vitamin A's especially are higher concentration than even a lot of the prescriptive strength. They're highly refined pharmaceutical based, so we're getting the highest quality pharmaceutical grade compounds and bases there. Home care products are designed to enhance daily regimens and maximize treatment results. So you can get the healthier your skin, the better results you're gonna get. Corrective skincare that improves the health of the skin, allowing for minimum downtime so that you can take, and I can attest to that too, I've been able to do, more of our retinol triple toppers whenever I get my monthly treatments, more than I ever used to before I ever started with DermaDality. My skin is very sensitive. So the fact that I can go deeper in treatments with DermaDality is huge for someone like me. It's a process based on proprietary preconditioning of the skin. Again, as we've been talking about the importance of preconditioning so that we can actually use more intense treatments in the course of your whole entire regimen and your whole plan and get the corrective results that you're looking for. Each serum contains multiple tyrosinase inhibitors. So brightening, lightening, and tightening you're gonna get from each of these home care products, especially in our serums.
Especially when you say that, this comes into play. That's the fourth thing that I was going to mention, is that what we're doing as we move forward, and the longer you use the product, the more stabilized the melanin becomes. So when we're working with these higher Fitzpatricks, if we don't stabilize that melanin, you're risking, inflammation and post-inflammatory pigmentation. So these are some things that play really, really big. I also want to mention one other thing, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
when
please.
it comes to concentration, I know everybody says we have concentrated products, but the importance of being able to put the skin in the type of condition we have, the result of these products is DermaDality. Most people says, well, the reason why it's actually the concentration of the actives. And I'm not just saying that. We talked about the vitamin A, but there's no difference when we speak to we're gonna be talking about our Peptide Plus, for example. And there's a key ingredient. I'm just gonna mention one ingredient. I'm not gonna get into too technical in the product because we don't have enough time. But there's an ingredient called Restore Skin. It's critical. It's a peptide and has marine-based ingredients. The plankton is really what's sealing in the transepidermal water. If you look at our clinical, and you can see our clinicals by going to the website, go to education, and then go to education resources, we list all of our key actives. And we also have the clinical studies that relate to it. So if you look at the Restore Skin, it says 0.5 in the placebo. We're using 3 times that in the product. And I'm going to tell you, we use 1.5. That's the highest we can go with that ingredient. I can say the same ingredients that are active that we're using. We're using the max that can be used to get the greatest amount of gain out of the product itself. And again, when we talk about the product a little bit, I'll emphasize that a little bit more. Sorry, Kelsey.
Awesome. No, I love those. I love it when you talk when you give me all the fun nerd talk. So the preconditioning products for chemical peels are mandatory and include 4 specified preconditioning home care products to choose from the DermaDality journey. Naturally, it is ideal to use the entire line, but if the client is unable to or unwilling to buy the full line of products all at once, they have to pick a minimum of one of the following products. These are the serums here, and as we were saying before, they all have corrective ingredients, vitamin C, vitamin A, and tyrosinase inhibitors. But I have found that when you are very, you know this line, you speak with confidence and know how well this is going to work for them, they're coming to you as the professional and as the master of your skill. So when they come here and they, they are wanting you to correct their skin with chemical peels, you also need to tell them this is part of the process. If you already have a skincare line you're in love with, well, you're going to change their mind soon enough. However, and they're unwilling to, buy into the whole line of home care DermaDality, which I've run into here in my place, that's fine. I tell them you have to do ideally at least 2 of these, but if you really can only get away with 1, because sometimes money's an issue there, then I'm going to pick this for you. And I will tell you 9 times out of 10, they come back and buy the rest of the line. But they have to use, for my clinic at least, I tell them that at nighttime, you need to have a nighttime preconditioner, which I choose for them either vitamin A Intense or HQ Lightening. HQ Lightening, if they have a lot of hyperpigmentation, especially because that's a product, I will tell you that they use that 3 or 4 nights in a row. They're so impressed with how quickly they see results, they come back. and want some more. So I tell them they need to do either vitamin A intense or lightning, HQ lightning gel, and then if they can do a second serum, vitamin C intense for the morning, or hyaluronic sea ester if they tend to be dry. So those are my picks there for that I always make sure that I never run out of and have on hand for when people come in, want to start with our DermaDality treatments, then these are their home care. These are the home care preconditioning that are a must, no doubt about it. And I have never had people fight me on it. As far as like buying at least one of these, ideally two, to start. And then if they've already been using the vitamin A intense and they need to get more and they are a good candidate for retinol mixer, go ahead and have them be continuously preconditioned with retinol mixer, but they really should start with a bottle of vitamin A intense first. What's the HQ percentage? It is 2% hydroquinone. So it is completely safe to use daily. It is also mixed with all the tyrosinase inhibitors as well as vitamin A. And then it has, licorice root, niacinamides, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. All of the tyrosinase inhibitors there.
Can I jump in here just real quick? One of the things that, let me just share with you, what she's speaking to is all the serums contain at least a minimum of 3 different tyrosinase inhibitors. With the HQ lightning gel, it's simply 2% hydroquinone, 2% kojic, and 10% glycolic. That's the main emphasis. Certainly there's some lactic acid in it as well, but every one of them, hyaluronic has 3, the vitamin C has the vitamin C plus the tyrosinase inhibitors. The booster, it's a high concentration. So again, it's either alpha-arbutin, licorice root, or niacinamides. Some of them we have kojic acid, some of them we have, all of them, or almost all of them, we have an ingredient called brightlet. It's very similar to hydroquinone for stabilizing of melanin. The booster is made from about 8% tyrosinase inhibitors. So you get these lightning agents doing so much, and you're gonna see the change of the skin immediately from the retail. I mean, literally within, I'd say any of our products in the serums, you're gonna see a change between 1 week and 2 weeks, some people sooner. So you'll see that occurring immediately. And that's part of, wow, they're going, I see my skin changing. What more can you give me in the salon and service? And that's exciting.
It's true, and that's exactly what happens here, which is why for me, if people are only willing to get like 1 or 2 products, I just sit back and smile and say, okay, because you'll be back next week for the rest. And it happens because it works. So I love it. Again, I've never seen a line that just with home care alone yields such immediate results that are so impressive, but also that even if you don't use the entire line, you will notice a difference with just 1 or 2 products. And that's pretty, I've never ever used a line that has that has those benefits. Really, I haven't, which is why I love DermaDality. So yeah, basically, if somebody is only able to do 1 product, I always go for the nighttime because I'm always about the vitamin A first and foremost. And then if they're able to do 2, then I would like for them to do a vitamin A intense or like and mix it with their revitalizing booster serum at night. That's what I love to do. Or the HQ lightning. And then during the daytime, the vitamin C intense. If they can do that, they would be ready. Like, for me, my skin was quickly preconditioned to be able to go to more intense treatments. So daily use of those products, one morning, I always think of morning serum, nighttime serum, before moisturizer, after cleansing. It's easy for them to remember and people get really excited. They see results very quickly.
Okay.
Product knowledge.
We're going to do a little speed product knowledge because we have a lot to cover in a short period of time. So hopefully you guys can hang out with us for another 25, I don't think it'll be 30 minutes, but let's talk about some things real quick and go through the products because they are important. They're critical, as we spoke to. Even the cleanser, the Mandelic cleanser is so gentle. It's my favorite cleanser that obviously we've created, and I think one of my favorite it is my favorite I've ever felt. It has 6% mandelic acid. Mandelic acid is both a HA and a BHA. So it's going to help actually resurface the skin. It's also going to help destroy bacteria and begin the process of decongesting the glands and helping clean up that at that point. In fact, when you cleanse with it, you actually feel that texture change. It's slight, but it begins there with the cleanser. Again, we're using the Mandelic, like I just said, is an AHA and a BHA. Decongest the glands, follicles, perfect for sensitive skin, incredible for sensitive skin. And I'll explain that even more in a second. Even rosacea, everybody that has any type of condition that would be sensitizing, it's a great call. Now it says contains the latest technology in amino acid-based cleansing. So we're using, and if you kind of look at ingredients, again, I'm an ingredient geek, so I'll look at what can I do to create the gentlest cleansing mechanism that does the job. And it started with these sarcosins and sulfosins. There are sulfosenates and sarcosinates. And what we're using is a next generation of those. They're amino acid based, like I just mentioned. And what they do is they lift and separate. They don't steal everything from the surface of the skin. They're amazing. They're easy on the skin. You can use them day and night without thinking I'm going to dehydrate the skin. You don't feel that dehydration from it either. In fact, with I don't think we have a slide for it, but our blemish control wash is the same way. Even though it's highly antibacterial and highly effective for acne, it doesn't strip away everything. And it feels amazing, and you actually are cleansing the skin incredibly well. And it's because of this, the latest and most advanced technology in amino acid-based cleansing. So the skin feels soft, wonderful, and it's fantastic. Next, toner. So the pH is really low. You see that 1.5? I don't know if you've seen too many things with a 1.5 pH. The lower the pH, the greater the absorption. And this is really critical when it comes to actually our serums. The serums will penetrate better, are going to be more effective because of it. And that is exactly why we did that. There's no alcohol, there's no fragrance. What you're smelling is the base of the product itself, and it actually smells pretty good. Even though it's the base. It minimizes the dehydration. In fact, I'd have to say it adds hydration to the skin itself. So there's some very good hydrating ingredients, but really the focus is anti-inflammatory and helping decongest the skin with the Mandelic acid. So we're using allantoin, chamomile, aloe vera. There's an ingredient called sodium PCA. It's really, really weightless. We use that throughout our moisturizers. I love sodium PCA. It's a super it leaves hydration, and it really leaves it in a very hydrating way that adds to our moisture, and I'll explain that a little bit further. It's ideal for cleansing. You can use it for shaving, you can use it for waxing, and you can use it for exfoliating, but you can also use it post waxing. So that's what we're saying, waxing. So post waxing, the anti-inflammatories in here are amazing. I added this to our slide because love this product. It's really, if you can say, what is the lightest peel we have? It's this right here. It's 10% glycolic and 2% salicylic. One thing I will tell you, now this is a retail product, can be used professionally. We can layer the pumpkin, especially for like back acne, and that's why I added it to it. A lot of people are looking for something that's great for acne, for the back, or areas that are, other areas. I love to use it this way. You can use it with your facials too. You can apply the exfoliating pads first, and then apply the pumpkin, leave it on. And I'm going to explain pumpkin a little bit further, more extensively, because there is some changes, and I want to make sure that you understand those changes. You don't have to leave it on as long, so I wouldn't leave it on for more than 6 minutes at the very, very most. Lightly exfoliates. By the way, you can use the pads twice a week. It's great for acne. It's great for those kids, especially that will get acne and only act upon it when they can see it. And I know I've seen that at home with my children. So this is great. You can just, they see something occurring, they can apply it on the skin, or it's just that time of the month. It's great. Lightly exfoliates dead skin, destroys bacteria, replaces a mechanical scrub. We don't have a mechanical scrub in line. We don't have to, because the actives and type of actives and the exfoliating mechanisms that we're using, again, we'll talk more later about that. It's going to lighten the pigment, and it's great for back facials, like I said earlier. That was quick, right?
Yeah.
So serum-based products, what does that mean? Well, it means that everything we have is concentrated, like I spoke to earlier. It maintains and it really designs the skin almost in way of strength and availability of these ingredients. So all of our serums are engineered to provide hydration, anti-inflammatory benefits, high concentrations of antioxidants, and sealing transepidermal water. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I just talked about that earlier. Now it's down here in bullet points. So we can move on. Vitamin A, our vitamin A, I can tell you it's the most user-friendly product for this type of ingredient. Now, we all know what Retin A does. A lot of people that get on Retin A, they don't stay on it for very long because dryness, sensitivity. I mean, you know, Kelsey, you see it at the medical spa.
Yeah.
Many and a majority, it's interesting how many medical spas we're working with that are going from prescribing the Retin A to actually utilizing the vitamin A intense and our other products that have vitamin A. But let me, again, going back to the cascade and the retinol cascading into retinoic acid, we do know that there's a measurement. And it takes 10 times the pure retinol to equate to the same amount of retinoic acid. So essentially, all of our, our vitamin A products and the purity in that we're using, and again, that's really important, it's a pure base. It's stronger than Retin A in almost every case. While our 0.25% in our revitalizing booster is the same as a 0.025% retinoic acid, but a Retin A at 0.05, our vitamin A here, intense, is a 0.8. It's stronger than that Retin A at 0.05. Now the good thing is we can add some hydration to it. We can add other anti-inflammatory ingredients. So from the surface, it doesn't feel, you don't get this burning effect. You don't feel that irritation. Because of the strength, some people will see some sensitivity, but I guarantee it's going to be a lot less than what you would have received from the Retin A, and you won't find the dryness that you normally are going to get. People stay on it, and that's the key. You can sell somebody a product, but if they don't stay on it, if they don't see the results, they're disappointed. And they're disappointed in you, because if it's not going to work and you're selling, they're spending $60, $70 for a product, they expect it to work. So we make sure that happens within the product itself. We do add vitamin C, and that's really important for the collagen production, also as an antioxidant. It's part of this product. We're going to talk about vitamin C at higher levels with our other products, but we do add vitamin C. It's the magnesium ascorbate. Then we have lactic acid, salicylic acid in a very light form. Again, it's great for acne, and we're going to talk about how we can make our vitamin A even better for acne. We're utilizing our Corrective, and I'll talk about how we can interact the product. Remember, all of our serums have symbiosis. That means that they interact with each other. So now we can, if we need to, we can become more prescriptive. And prescriptive aesthetics, we got to be there. We have to do it in our treatments. We have to do it in our home care, because everybody is an individual. When you can adjust, depending on where they live, the climate situation, their skin conditions, because it's multiple, thickness, thinness, oily, non-oily, pore size. I mean, there's so many variables, but you can make those adjustments very, very easy, rather than just saying, here's a product, I hope for the best, So it's just amazing when you have that control. Everybody wants control. Everybody as a customer wants you to be able to have control over their skin, because you're the professional and you're the one that should be making and providing the tools for their individual skin needs. And I say that very strongly because it's critical. It really is. You're going to see almost immediately the fine lines and wrinkles. Again, I would say with my hand that I joke about and show in every class, and the thickness of the skin and the bounciness, we can double the thickness of our dermis. And it's really because of the use of vitamin A and C that we can do that. And we'll talk more about that. It breaks up accumulations of dead skin. It visibly reduces signs of aging in every level. The evenness of the pigmentation, the thickness of the dermis, the fine lines and wrinkles, these are going to be visibly changing as actually the weeks go on. And it's almost, like I said, immediate. First week you're using the product, you're seeing the change itself. And we're getting very little or no dehydration or sensitivity. If there is sensitivity, that means that we either have to use it once every other day or third day, and eventually you'll be able to use it once every other day and then every day. Or you can interact our serums, because like I said earlier, they all are interactive. So if I want to add hydration, good, I can use my C ester, which we'll talk about, or I can use for acne or Corrective. I could put it underneath and layer it, or I could actually interact the two together. And they work as one product. So I can actually control the strength of it. So you're in total control with this, or let the product control everything. I mean, it allows you for that, but also we created a lot of safety within this product. Like I mentioned, the anti-inflammatory ingredients and things that allow the skin to not be dehydrated and different things like that. And again, it helps repair aging and sun damaged skin. So it's vitamin A, I'd have to say it's our #1 selling item, and it's got to be one of the best, if not the best in the industry. Ta-da, next. Lauren. We talked about the HQ earlier. Kelsey went over it. It's, you know, we're using hydroquinone. What she mentioned, it could be used every day. I wanted to expand on that real quick. Anytime you get about 2%, that's the concern by the use of hydroquinone. Hydroquinone, when you start getting above, really above 4%, what happens is, so 2%, the FDA says it's good to be used every day, and you don't have to get off of it. So that's why we use the 2%, and then we accent that with kojic acid at 2%, and also we will use the glycolic at 10%. So you have this great lightening agent. It's a great go-to. So the more pigmented the client, just as a simple kind of guide, you know, I have a tendency to move towards hydroquinone, but I just don't use hydroquinone. Again, I'll explain that in just a second. But there is ascorbic acid, alpha-butyl, there's a little bit of each of those, and lactic acid. So it's just not the 10% glycolic. There's lactic acid. We have vitamin A, C, and it's incredibly necessary. I guess that's the word. Before we do our stronger peels that we're preconditioning for a longer period of time. So if that client has deep-seated pigmentation or acne scarring that has, you know, that's really visible, then I have a tendency to look forward to the HQ Lightening Gel. But our other serums have a tremendous amount of tyrosine inhibitors in them. You don't always have to use HQ for that. So it's not all the time, everybody. We have several that are great, and we'll cover that in a second. Effective for other forms of hyperpigmentation. Boom, we're at the mixer. So the mixer we took out, we used to have hydroquinone. Go ahead and to the mixer, because we're going to cover something similar. Okay. So what we've done is we combine lightening agents, and there's literally about 8% of lightening agents in our mixer, along with vitamin A at our strongest level. In fact, this might be one of the industry's strongest products, but again, we fortified this product with anti-inflammatory ingredients and also some hydrating ingredients on the skin itself. People laugh when they have a peel. It's called peel, and it's a very high concentration. Everybody asks me why I called it long iced tea. I said, well, it's kind of like the drink. Think of our vitamin A as kind of in that framework. So I could frame it with that product in itself. This one at 2.2 pure, that's stronger than Retin-A at 0.1. It's an incredibly effective product. If I'm doing a stronger peel, I want to work them into and up to this product. If I'm on this product, I don't need necessarily the HQ Lightening Gel. In fact, I probably don't, because the combination, it says 10%, but it varies because some of the other ingredients that are in here are kind of, they're combining to get that 10%. But we have the alpha-arbutin, the licorice root, the niacinamide. The Brightlit is a very advanced ingredient that is very similar in the way of stabilizing melanin that you're going to get with hydroquinone. And that's really important, because as we move forward with strength, we have to stabilize the melanin. If we don't, there's great risks in causing unnecessary, unneeded pigmentation. So the lactic acid is going to refine the skin texture. So we add a fair amount of lactic acid. So you're going to see almost immediate noticeable improvement of the skin texture. It's highly concentrated, like I said. one of the strongest as far as the pure value and strength versus the downside that comes with strong, like retin-A or stronger vitamin A's, because there's different forms of vitamin A. We use the one that we can measure and compare and know we're going to get the results without the downside that generally comes with it. And that's why it's one of our best-selling products as well, and it's very, very nice. Next. You guys, if you're noticing, I'm trying to move through this a little bit quicker. Is that okay with you? And
You're
Kelsey,
covering
you
everything. Yeah, like you were saying it perfectly. You're covering everything beautifully.
Okay. So the Corrective, one of my favorite products. It's great. It's amazing for acne. I will tell you that much. We're the first to create a retail Mandelic product. This goes back, I think it's been about 12 years. We kind of cornered the market when the first pharmaceutical company came out with Mandelic. We were sold on it, and essentially, if anybody was around when we did this 12 years ago, we literally bought so much so nobody could use it. The quantity of Mandelic is literally up in rafters, and we had this loft, and it went all the way to the top, and essentially we had about a year's worth of inventory and then some. But we're using 9%. It's a pretty high percentage of Mandelic for a retail product. Again, we know that Mandelic is highly anti-inflammatory. It's going to lighten and brighten the skin. It's also a great antibacterial, and again, it works as a BHA as well as a AHA. This is one of the only ingredients that actually does that. So what we're able to do is break down encapsulations of oils and fats and things like that. And it can be used, and this is, I mentioned it earlier, it is great. So let's just say we're working with the vitamin A. Everybody knows vitamin A is great for acne. Vitamin A in concentration that cascades to retinoic acid is great for these great concentrated vitamin A ingredients. And I can make it even better by interacting on the skin and apply the vitamin A right over the top of it. And what that will do is give you the combination. So you want to fan it in, have your client fan it in for about 15 seconds, 20 seconds. But it absorbs very quickly. In fact, you have to put it really quickly. Go ahead. I know you're going to say something, Kelsey.
I was actually going to ask, this is something they can use AM and PM, and because it's so watery, you'd use it I would say right after your toner. Would you suggest use this is also great for hyperpigmentation? Would you suggest using it in conjunction with HQ, and then eventually as their melanin is under control, they could continue with just the Corrective? Or would you use that daily, morning and night?
You can, and you can use it anyway. It really depends on that skin, and there's so many different views that there's the skin is in a prism, right? And we talk about individualizing it. For some people, that might be the best treatment, because if they're acne prone and you're doing chemical peels, one of the most important things you do, if you go to this, we're ahead of ourselves a little bit from the strength, because this conversation today is not about our level 2 and 3 peels, but as we get into the stronger peel and we start discussing that, you cannot treat the skin with TCA if there's active acne. You got to get that under control. But if there's pigmentation, acne scarring, absolutely. What a great combination to do that you just suggested, is use the Corrective in combination to the HQ lightening gel, or you can do it with the vitamin A. You can do it with, for example, with the vitamin C. You can alternate them, or you can use them literally together. So all the serums can be interacted together if you wanted to. There's, like I mentioned, I used the word symbiosis. That means essentially they're made for one. They're one product essentially, but there are many types of those one products. It's the coolest thing, I think, for the client, because again, I bring up Sephora, Ulta, and these different locations. When you can only get that from you, bingo, your client has to come back for that treatment, and they see the results, but you're going to target it more for that client. So this is going to decongest the skin. It reduces the pore size. It clarifies and balances and enhances and brightens the skin. So it's great for post-laser. It reduces downtime. It treats aging skin, hyperpigmentation, acne. It does everything. This product it's insane. And again, one of our best sellers, and many people say they could never live without it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's interesting. What I love this for is we do laser hair removal here, and I have a really dark, coarse hair and light skin. So for me, like when I do laser hair removal on me, it's uncomfortable. And when I shave, I get really bad ingrown hair. I like to suggest this for people, and you have to shave right before your laser treatment. I actually use this myself for to help control every time I shave a razor burn. And I suggest this for people too, especially when they shave right before a laser hair treatment. Golden, it helps so much.
Yeah. Next. I just want to let you know, there's just, I say that we have Lauren, who does all our social media, does everything Dermodality when it comes to visuals, appearance, a website, pretty much everything that is building Dermodality through the virtual world is Lauren, and Lauren is controlling these slides. So I want to let you know that, which is kind of nice for us. So I want to give Lauren a big hand because she's a really important part of our organization. So I'll leave it at that. Hyaluronic sea ester. So if you were looking at, I always say when I speak about this product, if you had a magic wand and you said, okay, how do I make hyaluronic better? So understanding that hyaluronic is only as good as the moisture that's around it. If there's no moisture and you have a pure hyaluronic, it's just going to penetrate, and it penetrates too quickly for it to expand moisture or utilize, or being able to say it's going to expand moisture 1,000 times its own weight in water. It's not the hyaluronic that's doing it. It's actually what you're putting into the hyaluronic product along with what you're putting on around it. So what we did is we wanted to create this product that did many things. So if I said, okay, create a magic, you have the magic wand. How do I create the perfect product with hyaluronic that somebody can use for hydration? And I say, let's create multiple weights of hyaluronic first. So we have multiple molecular weights to our hyaluronic. There's 3 different molecular weights. Next, what we do is we add the fattiness of vitamin C. We're going to talk about creating fatty acids, and the pliability comes true, or it bodes true when it comes to the cell and the cell membrane. If the cell membrane does not have high levels, it's not surrounded with a level of antioxidants, and specifically some fatty acids that are necessary, holding the moisture becomes more difficult. So as we talk about sealing in transepidermal water with our moisturizers, this has a lot to do with how you're doing that. So you have to have pliability to the cell membrane to hold the moisture longer. And this is an important product that allows us to get it, but also at the same time, it gives us a tremendous amount of moisture. So we're using what's called sea ester, and this is the palmitate from the vitamin C. I'm not going to get into the chemical terms because I think we got to keep this a little bit simple, but what it's doing is it has that fattiness to it, so it's filling in those little cracks and crevices and little areas like that are really important, and also slows down the hyaluronic, so it penetrates a little bit slower, so we can expand it a lot better. And then I said, okay, what else? What do you want to add? I would say, let's add some tyrosine inhibitors. Let's use this product and lighten our skin with it. So it's naturally going to plump the skin. It's going to hydrate the skin. It's going to refine the surface. It's going to minimize fine lines. It's going to help seal in the transepidermal water. It stabilizes the palmitate, penetrates, and it's easily softening the upper layer. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about the cell membrane and creating pliability. And there's more to it than that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. We have liposomes that allow for deeper penetration. We're using licorice root, again, lightening agents. We're using licorice root, alpha-arbutin, and niacinamides. These are my 3 favorite that we use just in a general grouping. And we use a pretty high percentage, and you'll see the skin actually lighten with it. So we're covering all bases. So we're going to create this product to expand moisture. We're going to add to it so it does it in a way that we can maximize that expansion of moisture. I use to it, not just that vitamins or hyaluronic C. And at the same time, what we're going to do is we're going to brighten and lighten the skin. So this does it all. This is an insane product, it really is. The best. Next. Vitamin C. Okay, this child is, I call them children because we own every formula. I don't know if everybody knows that, and it's, you know, in order to actually know what's inside the product, you have to own the formula. It's not cheap to do this. Number one, it took us years to get to the point where we could actually afford to own each and every formula and know exactly what's in it, so we can share that with you. That's super important. I'd say 95% or more of the product lines that are out there, they're not owned by the company that is selling them. Therefore, it's just done in a private label lab, so you don't actually ever know the true percentage. And I'm saying that from experience. A highly concentrated, we cannot go any higher than the 20% L-ascorbic acid. L-ascorbic acid it's great. It offers so much from an internal level. So there's this kind of a fine line. What becomes internal? When I'm talking about internal, I'm talking about protecting the skin from free radical and free radical damage. We're talking about the intercellular matrix, the protection that your skin gets internally and within the matrix of the cell that protects it from the sun. I'm not talking about the sun screen from the outside. I'm talking about essentially protecting it from the sun inside. So the percentage of it becomes very critical. So we're using 20%. That's really high. And it really is high because it's a very unstable ingredient, and you have to be really careful. If one of the things that I'm going to talk about in just a second, I'm going to talk about our mixer and how we've been able, our revitalizing booster. We're actually using vitamin C and vitamin A at the same time. You haven't seen much of that ever. And that has to do with the type of vitamin C. In this case, we're using L-ascorbic, where we can only use it, we can't add vitamin C, or excuse me, we can't add vitamin C. We can't add vitamin A with L-ascorbic because it will break down the vitamin A and be useless. But we are using it by itself, and it's super, super effective. We're using a combination of sodium and magnesium ascorbyl. So it's a total of 23% of our Cs. It treats environmentally damaged skin, enhances production of collagen. So really, collagen and elastin are really fed by vitamin C at a very high level. Vitamin A, which I didn't mention, is the only clinically proven, I'm talking about retin A and the conversion of retin A, is the only ingredient that's going to stimulate collagen, elastin, and fibroblasts for 100% of everybody, the highest level, 100% of everybody that's using it. So again, we're also using, it's going to reduce pigmentation. We're also using the lightening agents, alpha-arbutin, to lighten the skin. It evens the tone. It provides immediate visual change to the skin itself. You start seeing that almost immediately. I'd say just like the vitamin A Intense, the vitamin C Intense offers that same almost immediate impact. Reveals younger, brighter, and lighter or tighter complexion. One of the things I want to mention, it's really important to get the kids started early on vitamin C. One of the problems with acne is the dehydration. And when the skin is dehydrated, it's hard for it to hold moisture. And vitamin C, especially topically, is critical because, again, it creates that viability, and it also creates the pliability of that membrane and the surface to hold moisture. And holding moisture is going to emphasize that with this product. Next. The booster. We were just talking about this. This essentially is almost everything in this product. I'm going to preempt our moisturizers, our Peptide Plus, and specifically our Ageless, where what's in this product in many ways and almost completely embodies what our moisturizers are made of. Our moisturizers are basically started with this product, and then we developed a texture that appears to be a moisturizer from this product. What it is, we're combining vitamin A and vitamin C together. And I'll tell you that is not been done often. I don't know who's done that before, but we do it. We're using an ingredient called BV-OSC. It's in the middle of this slide. The BV-OSC is a stable vitamin C. It's highly potent and highly, highly expensive. That's why most people don't use it. It's $1,600 a pound, essentially. It's pretty much the normal price compared to $80 a pound when you buy L-ascorbic acid. So what everybody does has the tendency to go for the less expensive ingredient. Your product costs less. I'm not saying I don't care about the cost of ingredient, but it's not our decision-making factor when it comes to our products. So we are using a high percentage. When I say a high percentage of the BVOSC, it's in the range of 5%. And that 5% is like having 20% L-ascorbic acid because of the powerful strength of that product itself. So we're combining that vitamin C that's stable. Now I can approach the product with vitamin A. So we have 0.25% pure retinol. We're increasing it with hydration. We're adding marine algae. We're adding vitamin C, the BVOSC, the vitamin A, vitamin E. We're using green tea. We're also using kojic acid, licorice root. I'm using a group of peptides, some key peptides. One called Restore Skin I spoke of earlier. Restore Skin holds moisture. So this helps hold the moisture. It has the hyaluronic. It has this, the C-ester. It has all the things we just talked about with our hyaluronic C-ester and our vitamin C put together, now with vitamin A, added peptides. This is just an amazing, and then tyrosine inhibitors. And then, this is one of the most important things. Many of you have never heard of exosomes. They're nano-sized carriers. Essentially what they do is they provide the communication to the cell to correct itself. There's 100 million exosomes in each product. They're nano in size. Literally, you have to, they're so small. They have little, that look like tentacles. These tentacles are receptors, and they carry they pick up this information. Anti-inflammatory. By the way, I forgot a ton of anti-inflammatory ingredients in here. Again, the allantoin, the willow bark, also, just incredible anti-inflammatory ingredients. Anti-inflammatory, you have your lightening agents, you got your vitamin A, you got your vitamin C, and it's picked up by these exosomes. They're ridiculously expensive. I mean, they're one of the most expensive ingredients that I could use, but they're really effective in delivering it. We use it with microdermabrasion. That would be after microdermabrasion. It's used as highly effective. We have some great case studies for that. Just insane. This is an insane product. I think it's one of the best products in the industry overall as a serum. And this basically is what we created to create our moisturizers. And let's go to that. Next slide. Okay, how did I know? You want to discuss this with me?
Yeah. Do you want me to start there?
Yeah.
All right, the moisture water sealing technology. Basically, it's, again, Tony's been researching and developing this for years, and put these ingredients together for not just, the actives and the correction, but also to seal in moisture and prevent transepidermal water loss. So DermaDality created the most advanced moisture sealing technology available through each of our serum-based moisturizers, which you said serum-based equals more concentration, like a serum. And they're designed to leave the skin surface in the most moisturized and healthiest state as possible. And it's nice too, I can attest with them, they're not heavy, they're not greasy. When you use them, you can feel hydrated and you don't feel tight, but it's also not heavy and greasy feeling. The key to our evolution of moisture sealing technology is a combination of highly concentrated actives that include the hyaluronic acid, C-ester, the vitamin C, with the BVOSC, and refined and extracted plant oils, sodium PCA, and aloe, as we went over in the previous slides. DermaDality's moisture sealing technology is highly dependent of our hybrid peptides that seal in moisture while influencing growth factors. This all comes from concentrations of lecithin, plankton, and algae. The result of our recent advancement, your skin will be filled with weightless moisture that dives below the surface of the skin while maintaining moisture throughout the day, which is really exactly what we want. We want to be hydrated and not greasy.
One thing I'll say, this took 3 years, by the way, from beginning to end, because I mentioned that it started out with the booster, essentially, and then we built it outwardly from there. And it was funny, when we first started, it was literally like it was still, remember, we couldn't get it from that light colored serum that was kind of thin to that you know, that pliable texture that we have today that's weightless. I mean, literally, our moisture, especially, you guys use our eye cream. Anybody that's used eye cream will tell you the same thing. There's never been an eye cream that is as intensive and as lightweight. This has this same technology. We use it throughout our moisturizers. Really noticeable about the eye because you feel your eye later in the day and you're saying, or you're underneath your eyes, you feel, and it stays moist the entire day. At the end of the day, weightless feel, intensive moisture. And what we did, we had just, it was just one iteration after the other before we ended up getting this technology finalized. It's a combination of moisture, and you guys can go to our Instagram page, and I just did a video on this, and I talk about how difficult this was, combining these different elements of hydration versus moisture, because there's two different elements. And we discussed there the individual types of moisturizers and the individual type of hydration we used. And in the combination of what we did to get that moisture and to even it out, to get that, you know, there's very key elements that do that. And I will tell you that the Restore Skin, which is that peptide, that's a hybrid peptide that also, because of the plankton, it really allows us to seal in the transepidermal water like nothing else. There is nothing like our moisturizers as far as holding moisture and holding the moisture in a weightless feeling combination. So anyways, there's another thing I just want to say. Speaking of all the things that we're doing, you got to hold on to this. I know we passed the 1 hour stage right now. Oh my goodness, we're at 1 hour and 23 minutes. But sorry about that. Please hang on with us because at the end we have a great promotion Lauren put together, and it's a kit, and it's 30% off kit. We want to get to that. There's a special code. You got to stick around for that code. So I'm going to move a little bit quicker. We talked about the moisture. It really was created. Again, Peptide Plus was that creation from our revitalizing booster into what our Peptide Plus is today. This is our moisturizer. It's the cleanest, most anti-inflammatory moisturizer that I believe you're using today. So it's designed to restore your collagen, stimulate your fibroblasts, reduces the fine lines. It reduces the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. Again, the hydration, it's light, but it's like the Mighty Mouse of hydration. The marine algae is very fatty. The marine algae, if you read about it, what we're using, it actually comes from a kelp. It's a very deep water kelp, and it's full of obviously antioxidants, but really what it does do, it has a sugar saccharide. You heard of mucopolysaccharides. It's a form of that, and it actually helps hold the moisture. It's very effective in doing that. It's amazing. So it seals in that. It's unique hybrid peptide. I said that. It's stable vitamin C, so we use the BVOSC. We use a little bit of vitamin A, vitamin E, green tea, and green tea is part of the aroma. And guess what? I got aroma from the cucumber. So it's a combination. Use a little bit of melon, and actually the cucumber. And the cucumber we learned came out because of the level of active cucumber we're using. So it smells amazing and feels amazing too. So it's for all types of skin. I don't care if you have acne. I don't care if you're aging. I don't care if you're at the height, the mature aging state. I mean, it's amazing for everybody. If there's one moisturizer that worked for just about everybody, it's that one. You know what it does? It also pulls in our moisturizer, Sun Moist. Again, when we're doing stronger chemical peels, it's so critical to have a lot of hydration because the healing of the skin, how quickly the skin will heal because of that. And our Sun Moist allows for that as well because it's a moisturizing sunscreen. So it keeps it moist, but the Peptide Plus and even our Ageless kind of pulls in the sunscreen, so the sunscreen doesn't. Next. So Ageless and Peptide Plus are almost identical. If you look at the ingredient listing, they're virtually the same. What differentiates them essentially is the different percentages of more of the moisturizing ingredients. When I say moisturizing ingredients, I'm talking about more of the occlusives. There's a group of plant oils called caprolaic capristec glycerides, that's a little bit higher. Our argan oil, the retinol palmitate, the olive oil, the percentage of the C ester or the sodium ascorbyl, there's more of that. So it gives it more of that slightly more of an occlusive feel, but it's still a very lightweight product, intensely anti-inflammatory. It feels amazing on the skin, but essentially it's our Peptide Plus with a little bit more moisture. Okay. Peptide Plus maybe a little bit more on the hydration, but at the same time neither of them feel heavy. They're both super clean. You can use Peptide Plus in the morning, and ageless at night. Before you go to bed. I mean, it's you can alternate them or just use the ageless, but it's basically the same, works the same way, but the level of moisture is intensified. That's basically it. Simple. Next. Moisture, this is one of my favorite products we created. This is our last product in the group of products that we formulated. We used to have a product called Alisone, it's for hydrocortisone and aloe vera. And the problem with that product, and I didn't really realize it until I got a chemical burn myself. What I did is there was a company that was selling their microneedling, and the owner of the company was promoting the microneedling and doing TCA at the same time. Well, I wasn't going to volunteer you guys to do this before I did it myself, and I'm glad I did this, but at the same time, my skin is still sensitized from that 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago. I went ahead and I put the Alisone on my skin. Again, it had hydrocortisone, aloe vera, but it also had petrolatum. And the problem with that is, and this is a learning experience, if there's synthetics, and if something is too occlusive, when the skin is hot, it's going to bounce, that heat is going to bounce off that occlusive, in this case, petrolatum, and it intensified the heat. So I was going crazy. I was going, oh my God, I got nothing that's cooling this thing off. And it was hot. This is like 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours later. So I said, you know what? I got to put moisture on my skin. I need something. So I grabbed the Peptide Plus, and instantly it was like, it just soothed. So I said, what if I did the same, use the same grouping of anti-inflammatory, but increase them, add things like arnica, add a couple, increase the level of each one of our anti-inflammatory ingredients. And that's what we essentially did. And we have already a great grouping in the Peptide Plus, the Ageless, and then we really emphasized it in this product, the Moisture Soothe Plus. This is so incredible. We can use it for post-treatment. We can use it at night for just a deeper, a little bit heavier base moisture, but not that much heavier. But again, as we age, the skin has a tendency to be a little bit more sensitized, and it's amazing. I mean, I just love it for that reason, for all the reasons that you're seeing right here. So it's a treatment designed for evasive treatment. So we're using always after chemical peels. And by the way, now it is more anti-inflammatory than Peptide Plus, and Peptide Plus is amazing. Quickly provides relief from irritation. Inflammation includes minor skin irritations, inflammation, itching, rashes, eczema, allergies, poison ivy, poison oak, insect, bug bites, windburn, just about anything. Post, waxing. Can you add more, Kelsey?
With the moisture, I use this honestly for, I recommend this for everybody after they get their chemical peels, along with Mandelic as part of their post-care. I recommend it for post-care for our resurfacing, for our lasers. I also keep this actually in my at home in my first aid kit for rashes and eczema, and I've got kids. If my little girl gets a diaper rash or anything like that, or chapped skin on their face, especially during the winter, this is my go-to for everything.
And just to let you know, Kelsey's in Colorado Springs, and
Yeah.
it's a whole different world up there. You're on the moon over there. You get there. I spend time in Vegas, and it's dry there, quite a bit of time in Vegas for work, and then Colorado. It's, oh my God. So these products are essential, especially in your environment. What's cool about the
really
products,
dry.
overall, it doesn't matter if you're in San Diego, where I'm at, Florida, where Lauren's at, or you where you're at, the products work the same because they're not dirty, they're not filled with additives just to fill. I mean, it's a super clean product, and that's key. Are you getting these questions, by the way, Kelsey?
I got some of them. I feel like I've gotten to all of them. I just sent one to all the attendees. But yeah, I think, are there any more questions?
So this is how well I know Kelsey. When she has an intense look on her face, I know she's working on the computer.
Yep, and I'm trying to look here. Yeah, I feel like I've gotten them, but I'm not sure. Let me know if there's any questions that I did not get to. And I also gave my my email address to, you know, after this, to any questions that you might have.
Why don't you go ahead and give it out right now?
Yes, it's K Cameron, so KCAMERON at springsbodysculpting.com. And actually, I'm going to type it out right here, K Cameron at springsbodysculpting.com. And I love to hear from people, feedback, questions, and I'll always call you. I never leave people hanging, so call me, text me, but email me first so I can, you know, reach out to you there, and I would love to chat about however I can.
Did you mention that you're the co-owner of the spa?
Yeah, no, I don't know that I have. Yes, so I partner up with Dr. Dunham, and we offer everything from skin rejuvenation to body contouring. So that's why we love, you know, when we looked into DermaDality, we wanted something that was effective, that was medical, that really was no fluff, and that would coincide very well with our medical grade treatments that we do. So yeah, we are co-partners, co-own a medical spa down here in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Yay! So shout out to Colorado Springs. Anyways, Sun Moist, great. Again, with chemical peels of strength especially, you have to have a sun block that actually is hydrating, and that's what this does. And how we get that without being heavy, dirty, and actually feel like it doesn't feel good is I reduce the titanium dioxide. It's 1.7%. We're using a higher percentage of zinc. The higher you go with titanium, the greasier it becomes. Not just greasier, you have to combat that greasy with fillers, and that becomes dirty and heavier on the skin itself. We're not trying to create that. Nobody wants that in a Sun Moist or a sunscreen. Sun Moist, sunscreen. So it's a lightweight sunblock. It's 6.7% zinc, 1.7% titanium dioxide, less titanium, but titanium dioxide actually is like an oily shale ingredient. So we want to reduce that. Vitamin E, we have green tea, and it can replace your daily moisturizer. So if someone, let's just say, has acne, or somebody just wants something, you know, just instead of having a moisturizer and that at the same time, and just use that, it's a very good moisturizer. It just doesn't have the, you know, the other items that we do add to our moisturizers, the vitamin C's, the different ingredients. Okay, we're moving on. Restore Eye Cream, favorite product. It's probably the most addicting product we created. It's amazing. It's good for puffiness. It's great to reduce puffiness and dark circles. We're using ingredients for like caffeine. There's the anti-inflammatory grouping, and again, going back to some of the sea-based ingredients that provide this ability to reduce puffiness, and again, fill in the gaps of hydration. It kind of does that at the same time, but it's intensive hydration, yet it's weightless. It's going to minimize the fine lines. It contains Dermodality's multiple peptide complex, so we're even adding Matrixyl on top of it. So we have the Restore Skin, we have the Rebixyl and Matrixyl. I would say the group of ingredients is the highest of, I would say it does have so many actives. It's not cheap, but it's also, you're getting so much more for the buck. It's a 20 ml versus a 15 ml, but the product is very costly on our end, and it's insane because we are using the expensive BVOSC, so you have the vitamin C. It creates that weightless feel. It can be applied to the lid fold. So what I mean is this: you can actually put it above on the lid, but you can also do it directly all the way up to the fold up here. And the reason why, it won't move. You put it on the skin and that's where it stays. And it stays basically the same level of moisture from the beginning of the day as it does the end of the day. So the hydration and the weightless feel is just incredible. It does change the skin. It is very high in the anti-aging level of our antioxidants and also our peptides. Anti-inflammatory, does everything. It's really, you guys, honestly, it is the most addicting eye cream that you could possibly use. Everybody's looking for, I waited my entire career to build this because we couldn't find it, we couldn't create it, and we finally did. I didn't want to have an eye cream. I think that eye cream is a signature product. I don't know if you'd agree with this, Kelsey, but
Oh, I do.
you really want to, and it really emphasizes what the other products are all about. Okay, so requirements to receive. I'll pass this back to you, Kelsey.
Yep. I'm responding to this here about the eye cream there. Is I use it for both preventative and reparative. It's amazing. It doesn't cause any of the breakouts or the eye bumps or anything that I've gotten from serums in the past. So I use it both for prevention and repairing. So here for the requirements to receive the Mastering Advanced Chemical Peel certification, you'll want to do the at least one case study is super important. Case studies are, that's what it educates you as the esthetician. And frankly, I actually like to continuously learn continuous education. So the more case studies that you actually do, the more you will get to know this product, understand skin, understand how this whole process works in general. But also, for here to get our advanced chemical peel certification, you have to have at least one case study. And use the forms that are provided there on our website for patient treatment progress. And then they have to have, the required home care and preconditioning, before and after pictures. And there's also before and after picture protocol available on there that our befores and afters have to be exact, and they have to be, no makeup, hair back away from the face, and a really good angle, preferably side, front, and side. And then you need to attend all the classes. Really understand the meat of it and the overall view of dermadality as a whole with their preconditioning and chemical peels and how the treatment process works.
Yeah, and we're actually going to require that in our training, that you are doing the case studies, and actually to get your certificate of masters of chemical peels is going to require that. And it's important because it's also allows you to learn from others as we get into these group classes. And we just redeveloped our whole framework for our education because everything is moving towards virtual training. And it's really hard to do this virtual training without having case studies to really be able to sit there from a round table level and work together and understand different situations. As we go into the stronger peels, you're going to want to hear these case studies of others because you're going to learn from others just as quickly as you're going to learn from yourself.
Yep.
So these are going to be important. By the way, we're just not doing virtual. There's going to be a hands-on portion that we'll talk about. This is the revitalizing booster with microneedling. This is pretty crazy. This is actually our first case study that we did. This is down in Florida. And this is the use of our revitalizing booster. Primarily what's happening here is the exosomes are going to work. And what's happened with microneedling, as you see here, we did microneedling in conjunction with using the revitalizing booster. And then she was using it, this was a period of 6 weeks, 2 different treatments. I didn't even show the third one because it didn't even look real because of the change. Really wasn't as good of a picture as these two as well because it looked like almost like a different person. So I just kept the 2. But you see the level of lightening of pigmentation around the eye area. And you see obviously the wrinkles and the lightness of the skin. Feels the health of the skin I mentioned from the retail determines the result of the treatment almost all the time. And this is a case where it's just not the chemical peel that's lightening the pigment. The health of the skin has changed in the process. Yes, this is microneedling, but at the same time we could be doing microdermabrasion, our Mandelic peel layered by our pumpkin removed, and then I do my facial, and you're starting to see some of these changes almost instantly. This is a 6-week period, 2 treatments, and this is what we got. this is pretty insane. I mean, it really is. There's some others ahead of ourselves here. This is actually Catherine Pollack, who's our lead trainer here in San Diego. This is one of her clients. She's, believe it or not, in her young 30s. And you can see the above picture, the devastation. You know, this is here in San Diego. This person